December 4th, 1872. The British brigantine Dei Gratia spots a ship sailing erratically between Portugal and the Azores. The vessel is the Mary Celeste, an American merchant ship, and something is very, very wrong. Captain David Morehouse peers through his telescope and sees no one at the helm. The ship is yawing wildly, sails torn and flapping, moving like a ghost through the waves. He orders his crew to investigate. They row across, climb aboard, and what they find defies all logic. The ship is deserted, completely abandoned, but everything is in place. The cargo, 1,700 barrels of denatured alcohol, all accounted for, perfectly secured, worth a fortune. The captain's cabin, untouched. Personal belongings, clothes, valuables, all there. The galley, food laid out, half-eaten meals on plates, a bottle of cough medicine open on a table, the ship's clock still ticking, and in the captain's quarters, toys scattered on the floor. Because aboard this vessel was Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 7 experienced crew members, 10 people total, and all of them were gone. The ship's log, the last entry, November 25th, 9 days earlier, written in Captain Briggs' own hand, a routine notation about their position. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming, and then it just stops. Mid-voyage, no explanation, no distress signal, no goodbye. The log ends as if the writer simply stood up and walked away forever. But here's what made it more terrifying. The lifeboat was missing. The ship's only lifeboat had been deliberately deployed. But why? The Mary Celeste was in perfect condition, seaworthy, fully stocked with 6 months of food and water. No leaks, no damage, no fire, no storm damage. The pumps were working, the hull was sound. There was absolutely no reason to abandon ship, none whatsoever. The crew's personal belongings all still in their quarters, sea chests unopened, clothes hanging, pipes and tobacco left behind. Sailors never leave their pipes, never, it's unthinkable. And the ship's papers, the captain's navigation instruments, missing, taken deliberately, as if they planned to return, but they never did. And then the details get stranger. In the captain's cabin, the bed unmade, as if someone had just gotten up. Sarah Briggs's sewing machine still had thread in it, mid-stitch, a piece of fabric half-sewn. Her daughter's toys, a doll, building blocks, scattered as if Sophia had just been playing. And the ship's sword, found on deck, with what looked like blood on the blade, but later analysis, not blood, rust, just rust, another dead end. The theories began immediately. Pirates, but nothing was stolen. The cargo worth $70,000 in 1872, untouched. Mutiny, but the crew's belongings were all there. Why would mutineers leave valuables behind? Sea monster, waterspout, rogue wave, but the ship showed no signs of struggle with the sea. Everything was secured properly, orderly. The alcohol cargo? Some thought it might have exploded, but the barrels were intact, sealed, no evidence of explosion or fumes. And then the darker theories, murder-suicide by the captain. But why? He was a respected sea captain, devout Christian, loving family man. No motive, no history of instability. Alien abduction, Bermuda Triangle, though they were nowhere near the Bermuda Triangle. Supernatural forces, curses. Every theory had holes. Nothing explained everything. The salvage crew who found her sailed the Mary Celeste to Gibraltar, and that's when things got worse. The British authorities were suspicious. They accused Captain Morehouse and his crew of murdering everyone aboard the Mary Celeste for salvage money. A formal investigation was launched, but no evidence of foul play was ever found. The court finally ruled it an abandonment at sea, cause unknown, and awarded Morehouse a fraction of the salvage value. But the mystery consumed the public imagination. Newspapers ran wild with theories. Some claimed the crew was drunk on the alcohol cargo and jumped overboard, but the cargo was denatured, poisonous, undrinkable, and these were experienced sailors. Others said a giant squid attacked, pulled everyone overboard one by one, but there were no signs of attack, no screaming, no struggle. The ship would show damage. And here's what haunts investigators even today. The rope attached to the missing lifeboat, found trailing behind the ship, frayed at the end, as if it had been cut or snapped under strain. Which means the lifeboat had been towed behind the Mary Celeste for some reason. But why would you tow a lifeboat? Why not just lower it properly? Unless they were trying to stay close to the ship, unless they thought they'd be coming back, unless something made them evacuate temporarily. Modern theories focus on the alcohol cargo. One barrel was found empty. Perhaps it leaked. Perhaps fumes built up in the hold. Perhaps Captain Briggs smelled it, thought the ship might explode, ordered everyone into the lifeboat as a precaution. They tied the lifeboat to the ship with rope, planning to wait safely away until the danger passed. But something went wrong. The rope snapped or they cut it in panic, and the Mary Celeste drifted away. And they watched her sail into the distance, unable to row fast enough to catch her. 10 people, including a 2-year-old girl, watching their ship, their salvation, disappear over the horizon, then dying slowly in a small boat in the middle of the Atlantic, from thirst, from exposure, from the horror of their mistake. But that's just one theory, just one of hundreds, because the truth is, nobody knows. Nobody has ever known. No bodies were ever found, no wreckage of the lifeboat, no trace of 10 human beings who simply vanished from the face of the earth on a perfectly good ship on a calm November day. The Mary Celeste became the most famous ghost ship in history, inspiring countless books, films, conspiracy theories, and she sailed on for 12 more years under different owners. But she was cursed. Everyone said so. She ran aground, was deliberately wrecked for insurance fraud in 1885, and even then, even at the very end, she brought ruin to those who owned her. The insurance company didn't pay. The captain died in poverty. The investors were ruined, as if the ship itself was punishing everyone who tried to profit from her tragedy. And today, more than 150 years later, we still don't know what happened on November 25, 1872. We don't know why 10 people abandoned a seaworthy ship. We don't know where they went, how they died. We only know that somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, a young family and 7 experienced sailors faced something so terrifying that they chose to take their chances in a tiny lifeboat rather than stay aboard. And whatever that something was, it was bad enough that not one of them survived to tell the tale. This was the Mary Celeste, the ghost ship with warm food on the table, the mystery that has never been solved, and the 10 people who vanished into the sea and were never seen again. Welcome to Veil of History, where some questions will haunt us forever.